Montana, basically, for the Republicans, and electorally like a Texas for the Democrats. And I don't like that. But the fact that they don't want us to take them over makes me want to invade. I want to quench my imperialist thirst.
After Trump vowed he would not rule out military force in his quest, Danish leader Aja Chemnitz released a video in response, fact-checking Trump HQ on their false assertions that the people of Greenland are open to a MAGA makeover.
Please.
President, thank you. Wanted to touch on the world on fire that you mentioned, but let's start, if we could, with your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security.
Of course, everybody is interested in hearing what is Greenland's position. And Greenland is not for sale. Greenland will never be for sale. We're well aware of the importance that Greenland has, but we're not for sale, and it's not up to US to decide what's going to happen. It's up to the Greenlandic population. Greenland is not mega. Greenland is not going to be mega. I think the majority in Greenland, they find it quite scary, actually, and quite uncomfortable that there is so much focus on Greenland and that US is actually, in a disrespectful way, showing that they would like to be buying Greenland or controlling Greenland. That is not what the population in Greenland wants.
And this comes as Trump's least loved son, Don Jr., was exposed for staging a photo op involving homeless people in Greenland in an attempt to make them appear pro-MAGA. Because with these people, there is literally no bottom.
Did the people there that you spoke with and interacted with, did they seem interested in the idea of getting closer to the United States and maybe being liberated from Denmark, who's had control of Greenland for the last 200 years?
100%. I mean, honestly, I didn't see a single negative. I mean, we had crowds waving as we were landing. We went to restaurants, invited locals in. We went to the local bars. We went in there. We went to some of the cultural sites. Literally 100% positive from what I was able to see and experience. And again, these are people that feel they've been exploited. They have not been treated well by Denmark. They're prevented from utilizing the great natural resources that they have, whether that's coal, whether that's uranium, whether that's other rare earth minerals, whether that's gold and diamonds. It's really an incredible place. And these people are saying, we just want a better future for ourselves, and Denmark doesn't allow us to do anything. And beyond that, when we travel to Denmark, we're treated as second and third class citizens. It was really amazing.
Meanwhile, Canadian officials too responded to Trump threatening to use economic leverage to lure them into becoming the 51st state by not only pushing back on his vitriol, but educating him on the electoral process of a parliamentary system. Because, of course, Trump has no effing idea how it works.
So no, sorry. And I really also take offense, sorry, Mr. Trump, took offense to your idea that Pierre Poilievre wasn't good enough to lead the Conservatives. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, he's great. He is the great one. He skates to where the puck is going. It's not going to MAGA. The puck is on a Canadian ice rink. And by the way, Mr. Trump, please, before making public pronouncements that Wayne Gretzky should run for prime minister, give yourself or get yourself a briefing on the nature of parliamentary democracy, a Westminster parliamentary system and a constitutional monarchy where no one runs for prime minister. We have elections for members of parliament. We don't get to pick and choose among our billionaire friends for who gets a seat at the cabinet table. If they're not an elected member of parliament, well, Canadian system is different from that of the United States of America. I suggest that Mr. Trump find one of his grandchildren's school books and look at the year 1776, which may explain a few things to him about why our systems of government are different. I don't want to belittle Mr. Trump, but on the other hand, hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it? California, Oregon, Washington? Want to put a referendum to your citizens? Because this is what you deal. Have we got a deal for you? This is what you get. Free health care. Universal free health care. No more 1-year-olds who suddenly fall off the Medicaid list and their parents are in the news because they're trying to do a GoFundMe so they can get their daughter to a doctor. Universal free health care. And guess what? Those gun laws that your Congress is too afraid to pass because of the national gun lobby, we already got our strict gun laws. That's why we have the safest streets around the world, or at least in the United States, by the way, the most recent stats, 5.9 out of every 100,000 people is killed in a fatal gun incident versus 0.88 per 100,000 in Canada. That's because we have strict gun laws. California citizens, Oregon, Washington, safer streets. Here we already have good gun laws, and women have a right to an abortion under our universal health care system. But, we don't have to stop there. Donald, think about it. You could get rid of all these states that always vote Democrat. You know what else will take Bernie Sanders off your hands? Proud new Canadian citizen of the great province of Vermont. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. We'd love to see you. Our maritime provinces already have deep, deep links and ties. Well, enough kidding around. But honestly, President Trump, get used to it. Canada is a sovereign nation full of, guess what, proud Canadians. We're not jingoistic. We don't boast a lot. That's one of the things we kind of have in common with Jimmy Carter. We're not a big nation for braggarts and bullies. We actually like to think we're of service in the world.
And to wrap up this segment, I could easily call we are the laughingstock of the world. The president of Mexico had a charmed response to another of Trump's most ludicrous statements during his first press conference of the year, where he basically said, to hell with egg prices, here's what we will really do to make your life better.
Changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
So that when you look at it on the map, all your problems are fixed because America. Oh, she had this to say in response.
Obviously, Gulf of Mexico is name recognized by the United Nations. It's an organization of the United Nations, but the next question is, why don't we call it Mexican America? It sounds nice, doesn't it? Right. Since 1607, the Apatzingan Constitution referred to it as Mexican America. So, let's call it Mexican America. It sounds nice, doesn't it? And Gulf of Mexico, well, you see, since 1607, and it's also recognized internationally. Well, historically speaking, because as you might know, I know they're going to ask me. I think that yesterday, President Trump, they misinformed President Trump, with all due respect, because I believe they told him that Felipe Calderon and Garcia Luna were still in power in Mexico.
And all of this, it just goes to reaffirm what Michelle Obama stated so perfectly during her DNC speech, that at his core, Donald Trump is an unserious person. He continues to prove that his focus is not with the issues that people seemingly voted for him to address. Price of groceries, for instance, the one that he swiftly took back as soon as he was elected.
To one of your signature promises on the campaign trail, which was to end inflation, to lower prices. You are now proposing tariffs against the United States.
A prolonged jovial exchange between the bitter enemies encapsulated the culminating theater of side funeral of former President Jimmy Carter. 11 days before, the 45th president is inaugurated as the 47th. The service in Washington National Cathedral. He was a peon for humble man from a tiny Georgia town who rose to great power, a beautiful former nuclear physicist, submariner husband, father, civil rights pioneer, president, and Nobel laureate who died at age 100 last month. But it was also a multi-layered melodrama of national pride, political movement with vicious relevance learned from Howard or so by the dignity of mourning. In a rare spectacle, the fragmentary of former presidents was all together. The cathedral front 2 rows contained